The customs game Trump on TV. If you let other countries steal your jobs, you are not a leader. You're a loser. Donald Trump. In 2025, the world's economic chessboard is shifting again, and Trump is back at the table, where not only trade but also the fate of entire countries lies. He is the president, but his influence is felt in every new customs war, in every currency drop, in every new political statement from countries that are panicking about their export and import losses. Trump is not just a former U.S. president. He is the architect of a new economic nationalism. The world before Trump. We trade, therefore we live. For decades, globalization has been the sacred cow of the global economy. The more countries trade with each other, the more money, development, cooperation, peace. In theory, the countries of the East produced, the countries of the West consumed. Logistics is cheap, goods were available, jobs were moving to where labor was cheap. And then he came, Donald Trump, with a shout, America first. Trump turns the tables. Globalization is a fraud. When Trump first won the election in 2016, many laughed. What would a businessman know about the global economy? But as a businessman, he understood everything perfectly. And most importantly, he saw the weakness of the system, trade without rules. China is stealing our jobs. Germany is cunning. They export their BMWs, but what do they buy from us? Mexico built its economy on our factories, which fled there because of cheap labor. Trump began to attack China with tariffs, EU with duties, Canada and Mexico with NAFTA renegotiation. He didn't just criticize, he opened fire, and the world felt it on its own. Economic warfare. Consequences of the first wave of Trumponomics. Disrupted supply chains. American companies that depended on cheap components from China began to suffer. Rising prices for U.S. consumers. Bananas, washing machines, steel, toys, everything has gone up in price. A blow to export-dependent countries, such as Germany, South Korea, Mexico, Bangladesh, Vietnam. Changing geopolitical game. Countries have started to reconsider their trade alliances. China has started building alliances with Africa, Russia, and South America. But what is Trump really up to? At the heart of his logic is a cold, cynical, business approach. He is not against trade. He is against trade where America is not the main beneficiary. If America buys, we should dictate the rules. Not China, not Europe, us. This sounds like an imperial message. And that is why his rhetoric is so triggering. What does this mean for other countries in 2025? The whole world is at a crossroads. Should we continue globalization, or return to isolationism, or prepare for new trade wars? And Trump is sitting in the shadows, watching ... and preparing a new manifesto. America should be a predator, not a victim. We either devour or we are devoured. Donald Trump. When Trump talks about trade, he doesn't think about win-win partnerships. He thinks like a shark on Wall Street. If America does not earn more, it means that it is being used. In 2025, although Trump is not sitting in the presidential chair yet, he is shaping narratives as a shadow leader. And one of the main ones, America pays for everything, and everyone profits from it except us. Countries that could be affected. China. Trump considers it economic enemy number one. After the 2018-2020 tariff wars, China began to look for new markets. But if Trump returns, there will be a new wave of sanctions. Possible consequences, a complete ban on certain categories of goods, demanding that production return to the United States. New Cold War-style economic isolation. Mexico. Low labor costs have made Mexico a silent economic parasite in Trump's eyes. His message: we build factories in Mexico and all we get back is drugs and illegal immigrants. A likely scenario. New duties on imports of cars and agricultural products. Pressure on American companies. Either bring back production or pay. Germany. Huge trade surplus with the U.S. Germany exports hundreds of billions more to the U.S. than it buys. In 2018, Trump already said, they sell us Mercedes, and what do we sell them? Soybeans. Expected steps. High duties on German cars. Difficulties in accessing the U.S. market. Asian tigers. Countries that make money on exporting technology. Microchips, clothing, and gadgets. Their weakness is their dependence on the American market. Trump's scenario. We buy iPhones, and who makes them? The Chinese. Let's change that. Coercion to transfer production to the U.S. territory. Where is Ukraine in this picture? Ukraine is a paradoxical case. We don't have a very strong export to the United States, but we have a unique geopolitical window of opportunity. What can we win? An alternative to China. The world is looking for new production hubs. Ukraine can become a platform for light industry, agriculture, and metallurgy. Loyalty to the U.S. Ukraine is a political ally of the United States. This can give us benefits in trade, investment, and access to American technology. Agricultural exports. If Trump imposes restrictions on imports from Latin America, this is a chance for Ukrainian farmers. What do we have to lose? Total dependence. If Ukraine is tied to the U.S., any change of administration in Washington could kill trade overnight. Pressure on tariffs and subsidies. Trump does not like his allies to receive subsidies. If he decides that Ukraine is winning too much, he will push back. Competition with Poland and Romania. We are competing for the same market. If Ukraine does not move quickly, our neighbors will overtake us. Trump against the world, how he is breaking the global economy for himself. When the United States is strong, the world is right. When the United States is weak, the world is dangerous. Donald Trump, the world order that is coming apart at the seams. For decades, the whole world has been based on one subtle arrangement. You sell, I buy, we all win. Globalization has made trade cheap, efficient, and dependent. And now Donald Trump is back in the game. His message has not changed. America is a victim that needs to be armed. The world is a parasite, and we are paying. It's time to break the old game. How Trump is breaking the system. Step by step. 1. Tariffs on everyone. Trump does not recognize friends in trade. Even allies like Canada or the EU get their duties if they look more profitable. This is business, and there are no friends in business. There are only profits. 2. Deindustrialization versus revitalization. Is the U.S. losing factories? Trump says, we are bringing everything back, and if the company does not want to, it will receive a fine, taxes, and public humiliation. 3. Sanctions as an economic sword. Countries that do not follow America's lead are sanctioned. Even states that simply earn too much can be sanctioned. For example, in his words, Germany is building its economy on our kindness. This must be stopped. Why Europe is already panicking. The European Union is a giant, but politically soft. And for Trump, it is the perfect target. The main pain points. German car exports are in the crosshairs. French food and wine, the customs war. European eco-regulations are business killing according to Trump. Dependence on American technology and investment. Trump is ready to monetize it. Germany is terrified. France threatens countermeasures. Poland is trying to get the factories to its side before it's too late. And the United States simply says, you want to trade with us, play by our rules. China, the main challenge for Trump 2.0. If it is still possible to push gently in the EU, then with China it is a brutal war. China is the main exporter to the United States. China is the main competitor in technology. China is an authoritarian system that Trump despises. We created China, and we can stop it. China's strategies. Shifting the focus to the domestic market, investing in Africa, Latin America, Asia. Forming alternative trade alliances without the United States. But most importantly, China is preparing for a long-term confrontation, and the world is on the verge of a new Cold War. What will happen next? A breakdown or a reset? Trump openly states, the old world order is dead. It's time for a new one. America at the center, everyone else in orbit. For some, this is a disaster. For some, it is a chance to restart the economy. For weak countries, it will be a shock therapy that will either awaken or destroy them. I don't need friends in the international market. I need profitable allies. Donald Trump. In the old world, there were rules, alliances, diplomatic tenderness. Trump's approach is simpler. Whoever makes me a profit is good. Those who hang around my neck, goodbye. In 2025, a new economic casting is being formed on the global stage. And here's who Trump is really ready to put in the lead role. The favorites of his trade doctrine 2.0. 1. India, the future factory of the world. Population, 1.4 billion. Strong IT sector, cheap labor. Aiming to distance itself from China. Trump has repeatedly said that China should be excluded from the supply chain. And this is where India comes in. India is a country with which we can make billions, but only if they play fair. But there is a nuance. India also does not like dictation. And if Trump goes overboard, the Indians can simply turn towards China or Russia. 2. Vietnam is the new China for American companies. Low cost of production. Active participation in Asia-Pacific agreements. Flexible government focused on foreign trade. Companies like Nike, Samsung, Apple are already moving production to Vietnam. Trump approves of this, but he will insist that minimize exports to China, meet American standards, work in dollars and with American banks. 3. Poland is a NATO favorite that Trump can support. Strong increase in military spending. active anti-China stance, willingness to be a regional hub for the US. Poles are strong, brave, and spend on the army. I respect them. Trump has already hinted that Poland may receive more arms contracts, access to new American markets, even some production from Germany. And what about Ukraine? Is there a chance to get into this club of favorites? Yes, there is, but only if we are not a poor relative asking for help, but show Trump the profitability of cooperation. Ukraine has 3 trump cards. Strong agricultural sector. US needs grain. Ukraine can become the #1 supplier after restrictions on Latin America. Geopolitical role as a buffer against Russia. Trump is not a fan of aid, but if we show it, we are your wall against Putin, and it's profitable, he might come around. Industries that can quickly adapt. Sewing, machine building, metalworking enterprises are able to fulfill contracts for the United States. We just need to create the conditions. But there is one but. Trump does not give anything just like that. We are not a charity. If we give something, we want to get more. Therefore, Ukraine should come up with a new economic model. Show specific growth points. Offer ready-made investment packages. Trump is building an economic empire of profit. There are no friends. There are players who make a profit. Ukraine has a chance to become such a player, but it needs to act not as a victim, but as a partner. They played with the dollar like a toy, and now the dollar will play with them. Donald Trump. The world has long been accustomed to a currency balance where the dollar is the main star, but recent years have begun to undermine its prestige. China is promoting the yuan. BRICS wants to create an alternative currency. Some countries are making deals without the dollar, and that's where Trump comes in. He said, dollar or death. The choice is simple. Currency war. Who will win, the dollar or an alternative? Under Trump, the US will aggressively defend the dollar's hegemony through sanctions, through pressure on SWIFT, through international contracts only in USD. Any country that flirts with the yuan or ruble will receive an economic blow. Even Saudi Arabia, which hinted at settlements in yuan, felt it. If you don't trust the dollar, you don't trust America. And America will remember that. All is weapon #1, and Trump is ready to use it. Trump knows that energy is the main weapon of the modern world. That's why he wants to regain full US control over the oil market. His plan? Dramatically increase US production, block Russian and Iranian oil, influence OPEC through the Saudis, limit exports of disloyal countries through sanctions. The goal is to make the world dependent on US oil again. We don't just produce oil, we control prices. Energy subjugation of Europe. Europe no longer has Russian gas, but the United States does not plan to give LNG, liquefied natural gas, either. Prices will be high. Contracts are tough. The alternative is to return to coal or black dependence on China. Trump gives a choice. Either you pay more, but play by our rules, or you look for something else and stay on the sidelines. Germany is under pressure. France is panicking. Poland wants to be a transit country for American gas to Eastern Europe. Will there be a new economic NATO? If we provide you with security, you must provide us with profit. This principle of Trump's creates the preconditions for a new type of alliance. Political support plus military contracts plus trade in dollars. Support for the US energy plan. Loyalty in the UN and international institutions. This is not NATO in the classical sense, but an economic bloc of the United States, where the main thing is profit. What does this mean for the world? Countries with resources either become allies or isolated. Countries with technology must work for Trump or lose the market. Small states are forced to choose a side, American or other, which can be fatal. And here is where the main confrontation of the 21st century begins. Profit versus sovereignty. Dollar versus freedom. US versus the rest of the world. Part 5 Summary. Donald Trump is not just playing geopolitics. He is rewriting it for himself. And in the new world he is building, there is no room for weak, romantic idealists. The final is near, and it's going to be a hot one.